everybody, welcome back to another episode of Health Talks, a health and wellness show brought to you by Let's Move TCI. My name is Maya Saunders and I am your host. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the benefits of Jiu Jitsu with the founder of the Turks and Caicos Islands Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Academy, Mr. David Galuzzi. Hi, David. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
Can you take a moment to just introduce yourself and talk a bit more about your academy?
Yeah, thank you for having me. We have been open since 2021. And in a short time, we've claimed quite a bit of hardware on the podiums in international competitions. But I think a bigger point of pride is the community that has formed in such a short time. We've got a membership of around 70 members between the youth program and the adults.
Wow. So for those who are unfamiliar with Jiu Jitsu, can you talk about what it is and how it differs from other martial arts?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are known as the gentle art, and I think that comes from we don't use any punches and kicks to do what we do. We use grappling, submission grappling. So I would use body control over someone's mechanics, and then joint locks and chokes to make somebody submit in a comp. So
great, that sounds very interesting. So how does Jiu Jitsu affect our overall physical fitness? And does it target just one area of the body, or is it like a full body workout?
Definitely a full body workout. It's hard to point to just one part of the body that would be impacted, but it's all kind of positively impacted by the level of fitness we do. Right from the beginning, just our beginners, I often say, your goal is to learn the warm-up. We also do all levels training for technique, but the warm-up itself is a workout.
So in addition to physical fitness, how does Jiu Jitsu affect our mental health and overall well-being?
That's a great question. I often say that this sport and this activity is just so multifaceted. It checks the most amount of boxes.
Okay.
I used to, go to the gym and weight lift, and that was my little paradise, right? When I would go lift, but it was only the physical, right? This is a little bit of mental component. So we're learning a new skill. We're challenging our brain. Some people say it's like playing chess because you're strategizing.
Yeah.
But also you have the physical workout. So from day one, you're actively improving your fitness, but also the mental clarity that comes with that. You have to be sharp. So.
Great. That sounds like, it gives you not only the physical fitness aspect, but mental and emotional well-being, and just being able to, think clearly and all this stuff. You said chess, I'm thinking, wow, like you have to know your next move ahead whilst you're doing a move.
100%.
So definitely very multifaceted. I have, just like researching Jiu Jitsu, and I've come to a couple classes before, and I've heard about the self-defense aspect as well as doing your self-defense classes. Could you give some real-world examples where Jiu Jitsu has helped de-escalate or even just defend oneself?
For sure. There's two parts of that, actually. There's numerous accounts of civilians defending themselves or de-escalating a situation where someone could have gotten hurt and someone nearby had trained Jiu Jitsu, and without going through a YouTube list, there's tons of examples there. Practically, if you're ever in a situation, you don't want to have to punch someone. They might get hurt. They might, you might break their eye socket or something. You might hurt your hand. You could go to jail. So you never want that to happen. It's nice to be able to defend yourself without hurting someone, restrain them, and then without hurting yourself. That's for civilians. For the armed forces, police, we've also seen just insane benefits because there's so much less aggression needed. And when you understand the body mechanics to pin someone down easily, you not only have yourself under control, but you have the whole scenario under control. Nothing needs to be escalated to the point where violence needs to go further. So you can safely restrain someone using just one arm. You don't have to smother anyone or resort to weaponry, right? You can just calmly contain everything, call for help. That goes for civilians as well. So.
Yeah, that's really great to hear, because as you're speaking, I'm thinking especially in the current climate we're in, just not in Turks, but in the US, everywhere we're seeing, and the increase in violence, gang activity, even just police stuff, not necessarily in Turks, but in the rest of the world, and being able to handle yourself and the situation around you without using armed weaponry, or basically being able to use your body and their body and not hurt yourself and not even hurt them, but still control the whole situation and de-escalate it to a human level, which is so relevant and so needed. And I heard you mention that you've worked with the police before and also the regiment, so that's great to hear, to know that our community who's in charge of safeguarding and that kind of stuff are being equipped with such essential tools and information. So thank you for that.
Good enough, honestly, yeah.
So is jiu-jitsu suitable for people of all ages and fitness levels? And for someone who's interested in starting but is feeling intimidated, what advice or what would you like to say to them?
Definitely suitable for all ages. At this academy, we start at 6 years old, because we just don't have the time and the instructors yet to be able to offer a younger. Some places do, just not here. But we have 2 kids brackets, 6 to 8, 9 to 13.
Okay.
And then 14-year-olds will graduate to our adults class, which is great. We've had father-son combos. And we've got membership up to 60 years old right now. So there's certainly no limits there, and we can always adapt for the physicality of it to make sure people often say, I'll start when I get in shape, right? And we hear that all the time.
Yep. And it just prolongs that getting in shape.
Gets you in shape, And I can't say that what I do is gonna work for everybody, but it's suitable for everybody. And that's important. So it may not be your thing. Your thing is the thing that you eventually will do.
Yeah.
Whichever one you do that, right? But we hope that we can start to share this art with the community here. And I think there's a place for everybody.
Yeah. I love how you said that it is suitable for every body, and emphasis on body. We actually had an episode of Health Talks with Jim Kelly last year talking about how every body can move, because there tends to be that perception where if you're bigger or curvier, just have a different body than the typical athlete, lean body, that you can't move and stuff, and that can't be further from the truth. I know when I did self-defense classes and then I came to the night jiu-jitsu classes, everybody was truly represented, like everybody, and then everybody. And we had everyone from different communities, and I was like, this is such a inclusive and accessible sport that we have here.
Yeah.
I heard that you mentioned, you have the kids and the adults, and you have like father-son duos. But onto like women now, to shift focus a little. How can jiu-jitsu empower women, help build their confidence, and also with self-defense?
Yeah, so we used to do self-defense specifically. And all I was doing was teaching the beginner program of jiu-jitsu. And we've gotten quite a number of women that have now already, told me like, hey, that was so great. I feel so strong and so empowered. And that is truly like the essence. Youth as well, especially young women even, to go double on that. Seeing people who are shy, they walk in here, they're looking at their feet, and then like 2 months into training, they're already looking you in the eyes and they're keeping their head up. And they're addressing people. Sometimes the youth are addressing people that are much older than them with confidence. So I don't know how it happens. I know that when people stick it out, it does happen.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's the rewiring. There's this rewiring in your brain every time you come in here and you train something that is, kind of violent. But there's so much trust on the mats with your training partners that you're kept safe. So in here, you're taking risks and you're practicing violence, but practicing that starts to allay those fears and erode those fears over time. So I think that changes people, and women specifically, having been targets of many attacks in general throughout the world, have just seen, exponential growth in that sector.
And I think also being able to, obviously we don't want to live in a world where you're always on guard and you're like, I know these self-defense moves, but knowing that you have that in your back pocket if you ever do need it, it is so much more empowering and freeing going into the world, not having to be scared of something would happen. Be like, I can handle my own.
100%.
I don't need that pocket knife because I got these.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I say this to the youth a lot. I say this to everybody. People who can fight don't fight. So you're not seeing people that get out in these violence acts and the fights at school. Those aren't the people that are in our mats, that are on our mats. They know better.
Yeah.
They know that fighting is useless and they know that it's dangerous. And so when you have the ability, you tend to you don't have the necessity.
Yeah.
Right? The loudest one barking is usually the weakest.
Yeah.
So we try to condone that, like, hey, there's no need to fight. Come in here and get that out of your system and get those tools, get that armor, right? So however you want to look at it, you come here and you equip yourself with whatever you need to face the world.
I will say, like, to second on what you're saying, all the people who I knew who are part of your Jiu-Jitsu Academy, they're all very calm, like very like very up to here, like very calm in every setting. I don't know, maybe maybe we all need a bit of Jiu-Jitsu.
I mean, the most riled up I'll get is sitting on an interview. I'm in my happy place. I'm talking to my friends, so it's all good.
So how can Jiu-Jitsu help someone with their mental well-being, and how does it help foster a sense of belonging, like your Jiu-Jitsu community?
Yeah, I mean, the mental resilience, I think I touched on, but the sense of community I didn't touch on, and I would love to, so thank you for bringing that up. Our community is one that you got people that when you're having a bad day will text you, not the instructor, not me. I mean, I will, as a friend, but not as like the instructor. But people that are your classmates, your teammates, your gym rival, right? Hey, where you at? They check in on you sometimes more than people at church, or more than people at your, whatever your other sport was. At your workplace, at your, your team sport, right? This is very much a team sport, but it looks like a solo endeavor. The athlete goes out to compete as one person, but everyone in here prepared that person to face the world or face the competition if they choose to, right? So not everybody has to compete.
That sense of belonging community is so important, especially in today's age. I mean, off camera, we were talking a bit about just like, AI in the world, and we're getting slowly disconnected with these things that are supposed to bring us together. So having an outlet like Jiu-Jitsu where you can come and you have your fitness family here. It's all about finding your fitness community and family and being able to connect on that level, both on and off the mat, where you have this family that checks in on you, post training, once you leave the academy. And that's just so great to know, because, we will never have enough community, and we will never have enough ways to bring us together, because it's the more the better, so it's so great that that's available. And thank you for creating that community and space.
Honestly, I've been training almost a decade, and I've had my best moments in life and my worst moments in life, and the mats and my community here and globally in the jiu-jitsu world has just been there. It always delivers.
That's so great to hear, and I really hope that after this interview, people feel empowered to join.
For sure.
All bodies, all fitness levels, no matter the age, gender, everything. Like, this is a safe space to join and have some fun and build confidence.
Absolutely.
So, to shift gear a little, or to go back on self-defense, are there any self-defense moves or techniques that you can teach me for like real world examples?
For sure. There's so many. Today, I think the easiest will be just, an attack from somebody, running up behind you and grabbing you.
Okay.
And there's a couple ways that can happen, and we can certainly demonstrate how that goes down.
Okay, great.
She's gonna help me demonstrate this by being where I was, and I'm gonna give a couple different approaches, and we'll go through what she's doing and then have you do it. So if I come here and I grab around her arms like a crappy bear hug, she's gonna get strong and change her level here. So she's gonna shrug her shoulders. Yep, and as she dips over, she turns into me and grabs this hand so that I can't punch her, right? And this isn't gonna be anything meaningful, so she's safe here. Now, to punish me for what I did, she's gonna bring her hips in, and then she's going to trip me over her back knee by bumping and steering that way. Yeah, and we usually encourage people to just leave. That is the first option. Of course, we have other things to do where we can then like submit them if nobody's around to help. But usually someone's in earshot, or you can start running while I'm on the ground. So, you wanna give it a shot? Okay, so I'll trade places with you. And Sid's gonna come up and grab behind you. You're gonna do this here with your hands. And as you push up, drop down, drop your knees a bit. Yeah, now turn your left shoulder into her. There, and wrap your left arm around behind her. Yes, keep your ear on her shoulder. And now as you get posture, stand tall, drive your ear in her shoulder, and then bump her with your back knee. Steer her to the ground. Yes, wonderful. Okay. That was it. That was it. So that's one. Another one that we could do is if I was a little more skilled or I just got lucky on the day I decided to attack someone. So if Sid is here and I, instead of grabbing around, get this gable grip here, this kind of like tight waist, she's gonna have to find the middle of my grip and blade her hip out into it to break the grip. Now same thing, spinning in and then getting her ear on my shoulder. And this is the thing that we can focus on, is not letting me bend her head down. Yeah, she's steering me to my heels. Once my weight's on my heels, any strength advantage is gone, right? I'm out of position here. I can't do stuff, all right? She's gonna now bump my knee and steer me back again. Same thing. So let's have you right here in the middle. Yeah.
Facing.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you're gonna find the middle of her grip here and blade your hip out into that grip. Yeah, use your hip bone. Step forward with that. Yes. And now since this side came through, bring your right shoulder in. Bring your right shoulder to her chest, and now your right arm wraps around her. It's the opposite side of what we did. Now you're gonna step behind her with one foot behind and one in. Yes, same thing now. Grab her around the waist. Yes, ear is in her shoulder, and we're gonna get her weight on her heels. So drive that ear in there. Yep, and now step back.
Me step back?
Yep, just move your right leg back and she's gonna fall. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're getting her weight back, and then we're gonna take away that post. So we're gonna use our ear, we're gonna steer them to the mat, and they won't be able to stop because you're holding them. You did a great job. The thing is when we trained this so you went the opposite side, right? So the grip broke free with your hip movement, and you had to change what you did last time.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine, and you did a great job. So lastly, there's a choke element where somebody comes up behind you and tries to choke you. There's a lot of headlocks that we practice here that are not threatening, like this, and they feel threatening, but again, she's got the position that we just wanted, right? So this is fine for us. The one that's not fine is if she's here, and if I were to try to get this, we call this a rear naked choke. So you've seen it in the movies, someone comes up here and they strangle somebody, right? We don't want to ever have this happen. And I want to have a word of caution here. This is the way out, and the way out is don't let it get all the way set up. So as I'm coming in here, self-awareness is her savior here. She's gonna stop this arm from getting all the way locked up, and she's gonna turn into it. Boom, you guessed it, right back to this position. So here we are, she's gonna bump my leg and throw me to the mat. So that's key. Self-awareness is number one. We don't victim blame in here, but 100%, if you let someone throw their arm around you from behind and lock it up, you're in bad shape.
Okay.
Very bad shape. I can't stress that enough. What I'd like to show is how this is not going to go well if she used some other self-defense technique she saw, right? Sometimes people say, I think you said off camera, that some self-defense will say, yeah, gouge their eye, right? And so we're gonna see if I lock this up here and I have this fully in, if I sit here like a dum-dum, she might be able to scratch my eyes out, right? Boom, she can find my eyeballs and gouge them, okay? But if I get this, when I just tug my head, all over it down, and she's gotta tap out, or she goes to sleep. So it's very important that we have awareness, and it's very important that we know our escapes, our options at all times, and that we don't believe silly things that people perpetuate online, like gouge the eye, step on the foot. That kind of stuff is not gonna work when adrenaline is high.
Yeah.
So please don't do that for self-defense. Just come see us.
I would just like to say a big thank you to David for being a guest on our episode of Health Talks. Thank you for teaching us these amazing self-defense techniques, teaching me, the folks behind the screen who are watching. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you for creating such a beautiful community, helping to empower people, young kids, older people, allowing for a space that's accessible for everybody, all ages, all fitness groups. As David said, Jiu-Jitsu is available for everyone. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, honestly, thanks for having me. It's super great that you guys are doing this from the ministry, but also the Let's Move TCI initiative. Really happy. On the 19th of this month, I'll be doing one of the community workouts. So I'm excited about that. I attended one already. I did one of the Soka ones and it was great. It's a good time. And I'm just so pleased that we can have the community as a whole starting to focus on wellness. Mm-hmm. I think health span is the trend. It's the target. Lifespan will come. Being healthy is the first step.
Yeah. So with that, thank you again to David, and thank you for the viewers for always tuning in and watching our episodes. Don't forget to tune in for our episode next week.